Rachel and Stephen. I first met them in Novi, Michigan, which is near Detroit, near where I went to school in Ann Arbor, Michigan, at the University of Michigan. And they were newlyweds at the time. You're kind of still newlyweds, I guess. I want to say Stephen's an engineer. This is years ago now. And Rachel's background is in art. Is that right? Art and historic preservation, excuse me. Okay. So I meet them, and they are starting to collect, or continuing to collect, as they're taking jobs in different places, right? Because I meet all kinds of people. So they're starting to collect art pottery. And they had a very good piece of art pottery that they did pretty well at buying low to sell high. Do you still have that piece of Van Briggle? You do, great. So you're adding to your collection. So today, there's this piece that Rachel brought to me, which is a Minton piece. How'd you acquire this? So you're at a thrift store, and you bought this piece, and you said, I like that piece. What'd you like about it? What drew you to it?
My mom has always liked blue and white pottery.
Okay. So blue-white pottery, which usually relates to Delft or ballastware or Chinaware or Cantonware, blue-white pieces. Going all the way back, of course. Sorry about that. All right, so you've got this piece, so you said, Mom likes this, I'm going to buy this. Did you recognize this embossed mark on the back?
Not the embossed ones, but I know what Minton is.
You know what Minton is?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says Minton on it, and then there's also an RD mark. It's a stamp. It's a very, very easily prominent common stamp that indicates, in fact, time period and customs, paying the taxes, if you will, for export to get a piece out of England and into other parts of the world. So that stamp basically says, okay, somebody paid for me to get to the place where it is that you're standing. So Minton is a relatively well-known English pottery maker or firm. And then this particular piece dates pretty far back. It's got some condition issues. What you see, of course, of this brown color is actually acidity and crazing. Well, what's crazing? Crazing is that crackle pattern of the glaze, which is the clear glaze. But underneath, what's happened is dirt and condensation has gotten under the glaze. That's what happened and why this isn't bright, bright white with blue. A cobalt blue color and the bright, bright white. But because it's Minton ware, it's very high quality ceramic. And it's fired at a high temperature, and it's designed in a particular way. It's quite English looking. And when we think of the English, we kind of think of, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and, she's got her little pocketbook, and she's always all dressed up, and, kind of very, very clean lines, very sort of prim and proper design. It's not Scandinavian design or Austrian design or the Vienna Secession that might be a little bit more modern and trying things. It is sort of staid and British, if you will. So you bought this piece. How much did you pay? $5 or less. Did you negotiate? No. You're at the Goodwill, you're not negotiating.
It was like a weird warehouse, like a big thrift store warehouse.
Thrift store warehouse, it's like $5 and you're getting like you've got your cart or something, you're just like, I'm just buy, it's all inexpensive anyway. Okay, I always say negotiate, I would still say negotiate, but all right, you figure for $5 and put it in here. So then you go home and you go, okay, it's Minton, and you start to identify these funny embossed marks on the back, right? What do you find out?
So I did some Googling.
Googling.
I might be wrong, well, I'm probably wrong about this, but each of those marks, they all represented what I thought were different date marks.
Okay.
And they were all conflicting with each other, so I figured that wasn't the right.
Okay, so you go to Google, you get information from some source in Google that says these particular embossed little symbols mean something that has to do with dates. But you don't believe that what you found as research results on the internet are correct, because they conflict. This is my point. You folks are Googling, and you're not always looking at who am I believing once you get to a particular website. Right? So you're able to say, well, this says it's 1872, but this other mark says it's 1785. Which one's right? Kind of thing, right? You have to look at the source. Just because you get an answer doesn't mean it's the correct answer. Okay? So, what do you know about the date? What do you think what do you think it dates to?
I think it might be early 1800s.
It's probably 1882. And the reason why I'm looking at the registration mark on the back, and I'm adding up the Roman numerals. That's how you do it. There's one right answer. And addition I can do. When you get into subtraction and stuff, not so good. If you put a dollar sign in front of some math, I can do the math. But if it doesn't have a dollar sign, I'm not that good at subtraction or addition. So, but all you do is actually add the numbers, and there's a way that that actually works, which we'll put on the website, basically. I'll explain to you how that works. We'll take a picture of this and do that. But for the most part, you can also watch more of it on the YouTube channel. But what you're looking at here is that idea of these symbols actually do mean something. And they mean maker's marks. In addition to Minton, there's somebody who designed this. And they're also what are sometimes called inventory or mold numbers. It has to do with the mold or the shape of the mold that actually becomes this particular shape or this particular plate. Cobalt decoration here is not hand painted, it is transferred. That means it's on a piece of paper, transferred onto the plate, then they glaze it over, put it into the kiln, take it out, glaze it again, put it back in the kiln. So that means that the Minton clay, or basically the material, has to be very good. Because if it isn't very good, it's not going to be able to make it through all of those times in the kiln or in the oven to fire the clay. Make sense? Value on the piece of my hand, about $75 in this condition, which is great for a $5 investment. Okay, Rachel. So I guess taking a 4-hour drive from Dallas was worth it. Maybe.